Hi, hello, salutation. This is the mayor. Yar! I don't think I have this intro thing down yet. Like everybody everywhere, I've been playing Dispatch, a choice-based game about superheroes, and I'm not going to drag it. I loved every second of it. Almost every second. I've had experiences with Telltale games in the past, and I don't think I'll remember any of them as fondly as I'll do with Dispatch. Even the Batman duology that I find great doesn't really come close to the pure charm on display in Dispatch. So, real quick, what is Dispatch? Dispatch is a game with an 80s aesthetic where you embody Robert, a superhero part of a lineage of Mecha Man protecting Los Angeles, but you meet him at a very inconvenient time, where he got trapped by the villain that killed his father. And not only did that break a suit you have no knowledge of how to repair, but it left you in a coma that zaps the fitness out of your shape, so you're not even physically able to go back on the field in any way, shape or form, except as a dispatcher. Old connections lend you a job as a dispatcher, a sort of operator who receives emergency calls in a designated area where you can guide a select few heroes of the area under your care to handle the situation at hand. Being aware of their skill set and personality is essential, as you need to carefully choose who to send to what, and the chances of success are influenced not only by your choice-making skills but also by your improvisation skills, when even the heroes call in for guidance on an obstacle they are facing. Your team is a bunch of ex-villains that only make your job harder, as it's Robert's responsibility to get them to be more coordinated and responsible during the 8 episodes of the game, via the twists and turns of events, while your suit is being repaired. That is Dispatch. If that pitch made you wet, you should go and try it out for yourself, because I will start off the bat with spoilers by reviewing the story. Contrary to what you might think, Dispatch is not really a parody of the hero genre. Its similarities to, let's say, Invincible might lead you to think that, but the more I played, the more I realized that the game is really paying tribute to the comic book hero tropes rather than parodying them or putting a twist on them. Dispatch is, in of itself, its own superhero universe, with aliens, constructs, demons, magic, science gone wrong, and mutants to fill the roster of villains and heroes. The profanity is the only thing that strays itself from the classic hero story, but it doesn't have the more realistic gore of Invincible or the nuanced power dynamics in a superhero-filled world like The Boys has. Instead, it's taking itself quite seriously, and that's very refreshing. And the story is pretty simple. After getting decommissioned, you're dispatching, trying to solve your team's issues as Royd, one of your colleagues, tries to repair your suit. It's sort of a slice of life in that sense. Clocking in, working, seeing what's happening with your colleagues, it's very endearing. The stakes only explode around episode 6 or 7. All of your work companions are honestly really endearing. Blonde Blazer is charismatic and the most well put together of the whole deal, even if you can guess she has some issues. She's mature enough to be efficient. Royd is consistently funny, very charming dude, not much to say on this dog hour though. The Florida Man has a really small role, but he's cool too, while Phenomenon and Waterboy are pathetically funny in their own way, and working with them is as much a chore as a joy. Great balance. The Z-Team is wonderfully dysfunctional. Everyone is stepping on each other's toes with their really explosive personality, but it gives a chance for Robert's best attribute to shine, his charisma. This game really lets you live your fantasies, huh? Robert is the most well-adjusted guy in the building, it seems. Despite being rightfully fucked up, he has an ability of emotional intelligence that is put to excellent use in this film. Better than on the front line, honestly. Because his capacity to make a speech on the spot is what a team like the Z-Team needs. A rock that gives them a goalpost. Purpose makes them responsible while also turning it in a way that's encouraging. Robert's skill tree is fully maxed out into yapping, and at any turn, his best option is to make one of the best speeches the situation could ever afford. He has this stern warmth to him, as if his soul really radiates of that kindness that peeks through all the time, but buried under years of experience and wisdom born out of his dysfunctional lifestyle. Robert's just a fascinating, respectable, and admirable dude that the Z-Team warms up to as Robert's does the same to them. He has a cool head and enough composure to turn any childish jab or chaos into a believable lesson in becoming the better version of yourself. And honestly, I found his writing to be really impressive because of that. Empathy is the anchor of being a hero. You can't be a hero without empathy. But we've seen archetypes such as really charismatic heroes, worn down heroes, emotionally intelligent heroes, but Robert's bringing it all with this silent confidence. He's not loud at all, contrary to most of the cast, and that's what makes him interesting. Instead of being this shining example of one of these traits, he's a rock, an anchor. You feel safe with him, like you can count on him. In a superhero way, yes, but also in a normal way too. He's level-headed. Your everyday superhero. The Z-Team is filled with colorful characters whose only real character arc is to warm up to each other and work in unison with themselves and Robert. I have never felt tired of Sono's Facebook quotes, of Punch-Up's loud loyalty, of Prison's bitchiness, of Gollum's attitude, of Malevola's rashness, and Flumber's accent. I did cut Coop though, so I have nothing to say about her. Their inner dynamics, reactions to pressure, and adaptations to the newcomer on the team were written to be funny, believable, and really entertaining overall. They are fuck-ups, but you don't really get tired of their bullshit. Chase is the only one helping you rounding them up, and he's a solid guy. He's part of this appreciation of the hero genre as one of those who believe the most in simply doing good. The Z-Team's evolution and end was phenomenal, and on the better sides of the dysfunctional family becomes heroes trope. Yes, I didn't talk about it musical. I'll talk about it in the romance options part of the video, leave me alone. The villains, like the actual antagonists, were sort of a letdown. They're actually pretty annoying, for the most part, except for Shroud, who only gets somewhat interesting during the final episode. He was your standard villain crime boss beforehand, and even then, his way of speaking, his motivations, his actions, it never really struck me. I thought the writing on him was sort of lazy. But here's also one of the best part about the choice-making aspects of this game. The game is choice-based. You're supposed to keep in mind that your words hold weight. Except that they generally don't. When you speak with Phenomenon and it says that he will remember this, it won't ever come up again. Same when you speak with Blazer or even the Z-Team, nothing ever really comes up or changes in most of the things you say that the game tells you has an impact. So like, boo, you're lying, Dispatch, dookie on you. Except it shines in other areas. Most obviously, yes, a lot of your choices matter. You have big decisions to make that technically influences the game. In sort of a big way. It's always a subtle way, a way that's really easily interchangeable with the other outcome, with dialogue that stays the same until the scene briefly pans to the affected character, the thing becomes a bit unique and then goes back to the normal stuff. It's underwhelming. But okay, at least 2 or 3 choices really impact the gameplay, and that's fun. Although, there is one thing that I like about the choices in this game, and it's Invisigal's outcome. How she ends up doesn't really rely on 1, 2, or 3 decisions. Her conclusion is brought up by everything you've ever said to her, and it piles towards one end or the other, and that's pretty cool. I got the bad ending, but it's pretty cool. I like that there is a secret meter that goes up and down during all of the game that influences the end, that's cool. Yeah. And finally, the choice-based nature of this game is sort of the redeeming quality of Shroud, because since his gimmick is grok is this true, with the ability to accurately predict the series of events that are to follow, every choice in relation to him retcons the story. Oh, you gave him the prototype instead of the real thing. Too bad, he knew from the start you would do that. You gave him the real thing? Yep, he guessed that in this branch. From the start he knew. It makes the very lackluster choices of the game work for him because it adds to the experience. Whatever you choose, you're in the timeline where he guessed everything you would do correctly, because that's how his powers work. I don't know, I find that neat, and honestly, I choose to give him both, and I was so hyped because this was so clever.
What the fuck is this, Robert?
Giving the probability-based villain a 50-50 chance to guess which one's correct was so fun. But yeah, Invisigal betrayed my ass afterwards. it's really fun. Okay. Dispatching is actually really fun. I kinda hope we'll one day get the opportunity to do some more dispatching on our own time, because like launching a game just to try and solve as many situations as you can as effectively as possible is great. I'm kinda sad it's limited in this way. I would love to only do randomized procedural dispatching over and over again, like I'm actually clocking in and handling Los Angeles crimes over and over. All of the heroes' dispatch abilities are fun and engaging, balancing a situation with who should be said with whoever will gain an advantage from it while not fucking it up makes the experience really engaging. I love it. I wish I could do more. Please let me be a dispatcher 24/7. The music is chill, the layout is pretty, the situations are goofy and demanding. You have to work out your brain sense to maximize your chances. The dialogue is always cool, really man. I just love it. I'm itching to do it again. And I was great at it too. I had no failures when they all tried to sabotage themselves. I was so proud of myself for that. Overall, episode 8 was heat. I was nervous story-wise if they could manage to land the ending, but surprisingly, episode 8 is the best out of the whole game. I loved every second of it. The stress, everyone on deck, frankly, thoroughly loved it all. And I cracked up at so many instances. Going off script for a minute because I realized I didn't really go in depth much about other things that I loved about the dispatching. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, it's funny a lot of the time. But also I love how it integrates into the story, because obviously Robert becomes a dispatcher because of the circumstances of the prologue, of what the inciting incident, but also just how the shifts differ based on where you are in the story or what needs to be needed. You don't really change the story through dispatching, but the story changes the dispatching. Like the rain section or the power outage or even just episode 8 in general. I like that aspect, yeah. Also, I don't have anywhere else to mention this, so I'll end it here. The animation of this game is spectacular, to say the least, and it shines the brightest in episode 8. From the storyboard that made Shroud have so much aura despite his weak writing, the in-betweeners who made every action scene look so fluid, the choreography, everything. It's not even the succession of events or the camera work, but also the effort that went into the actual movement of everything. This might sound weird, but the ragdoll that Blonde Blazer experienced after Shroud lasered her was so satisfying to look at. The weight of it, the chaos of the movement, the landing, you love to see it. You know what I mean. They cooked. Okay, right. Speaking of Blazer. There is a lot of discourse when it comes to the romance of this game. From context clues, you must have figured out who I landed on. My glorious queen of consent, Blonde Blazer, who has the decency to ask for permission before intruding on your privacy, unlike Invisible Bitch, disappearing at the slightest inconvenience and assaulting you in the locker room. Okay, my opinion is more nuanced than that. I went for Blonde Blazer for exoticism at first, as when I picked up the game, everyone was already riding on Invisigal, and I wanted to see the other route. I picked Mandy even though everyone thought of her as a traitor, and honestly, I had my doubts too. And it's weird, why? Because this hunch that something was off was simply that Blonde Blazer wanted to live a more normal life, and the way that made her act a little uncertain, still corporate, made it seem like she was playing a game we were not privy to, when in actuality, she's just way more stable than the rest of the cast, which appeared as something weird to us. She's just put together in the same way Robert is, keeping the sadder parts of her life to the side to be of immediate help, unlike everyone else who is very loud about what's wrong with them. And honestly, I like that about Blonde Blazer. She seemed to navigate her problem in an adult way that fitted to Robert's energy. She's forgiving, she has high morals, she's very responsible, an actual hero willing to put her life on the line for your ass even when you're not romancing her.
she's just really solid. She's just a little more unstable during the first episodes, but it really washes off quick.
And the fact that she's not bitter if you don't romance her also shows stability. She was a very comforting pick.
I especially loved from the get-go how she non-verbally asks Robert if she could remove his mask, asked if she could see the vulnerable man underneath, because she herself wasn't ready to be vulnerable yet. So she made sure to ask if Robert was comfortable with it first. I do not regret my pick. She's a very stable woman and a wonderful hero that matches Robert. But that doesn't mean I disrespect Invisible lovers. Yeah, you're a bunch of horny asses, but also...
I think this was the developers' way to speed up the romance. Blazer was available as an option since episode 1, unlike Invisible. This scene was probably put there to, well, make up for the 2 episodes where you didn't have any interest in her, and I get it. She's a fuck up with a lot of potential for good. I find personally, very personally, that dating personally a 30-year-old acting like a teenager is not for me personally, but that high energy and potential could be enticing and lead up to something good. But Invisigne's route felt too forgiving for me. She's fucking up once, twice, thrice, and shows barely any progress, and you have to forgive and support her again and again and again. She's already a lot to deal with and manage, but she has a beautiful and colorful soul. And it's weird too, because I knew, like, as a player who's played these games before, that forgiving her and treating her right at every turn would make for a good redemption arc. But while I was playing, I wanted to act realistically to the situation and treat her in a fair way compared to her colleagues, despite knowing that that wasn't the way that the game wanted me to go for her redemption arc. So yeah, I knew I was missing out on something. Anyway, colorful soul, yes.
I think the actual problem with this romance option that really shoots it in the foot for me is a locker room kiss. The rest is simply up to you liking and what you're looking for in someone, and you can go either way, but that specific scene makes her from a viable option to a horrendous person who you have to forgive even more from, because if you show interest in her, yeah, she kisses you. She's invisible, she doesn't have a go, but at least she has good signals and tries to cap off this crush face. She sort of ruins it by disappearing again, which I sort of like when she does that, face the world for once, jeez. But if you don't show interest in her, not even once, like I did because I was really fed up with her ass after the successive screw-ups, she still sneaks up a kiss on you, which 1 really shows the area where the choice options are lacking, because 2, the fact that you can never show any interest makes this go from an unhealthy dark confession to sexual assault. I was actively revolted when she did, and when you lean out, she pushes against your arm before finally coming to her senses.
If they removed this scene when you're totally not into her, it would make her such a better option, because with it, she looks like a hormonal teenager betraying and sabotaging everyone else and herself, lacking so much self-control that she actively sexually assaults her crush, who she invaded the privacy of multiple times, coming off like a weirdo beforehand.
You can love both. I'm Team Mandy, you can be Team Courtney. But when you're fully into Mandy and then she comes in with all of that bullshit, you have every right to hate her. You fell as a mentor. Do I have to support every of your fuck-ups? Not one episode goes by where you don't do something shitty that someone else has to clean up after you. I'm just mad at the phrasing of that trophy. I like the ending I got. Very dramatic. I'll keep it. It's cool. But man, don't judge me for not covering this girl all the time, because I think I was not harsher on her than I was on the rest of the team. I made it my mission to act in the fairest way possible, not playing favorites, and that lent her to become the new Shroud. Fuck! That about wraps things up.
Here's something I really appreciated about Dispatch. It never rolls its eyes at itself. It's not cynic, it isn't ashamed of being a superhero story, like half the stuff we get nowadays. Instead, it gives you a guy like Robert. He's tired, damaged, exhausted, and still, it lets him be genuinely good. It gives you a team of screw-ups and still lets them grow better than a lot of modern stories with that same premise. It lets the world be ridiculous and sincere at the same time. And I think that's why it sticks with me more than a lot of the bigger, flashier superhero things we've gotten recently. It's not trying to fix the genre or deconstruct it to death. But at the end of the day, Dispatch is one of the rare superhero stories that lets kindness be cool again, lets competence be attractive, and lets a quite emotionally intelligent guy in a broken body be the real hero of the room. I'm very happy we got it now. After Superman, and while we're getting more details about Spider-Man Brand New Day, it feels like the superhero genre is going back to being proud of itself, and even if I like The Boys, Invincible, and other parodies, it feels good to see a growing sense that superheroes are best when written with sincerity. Let me know what you thought of Dispatch if you played it. Who did you romance? Who did you cut? Who's your favorite in the Z team? Would you make love to Phenomenon? And do you also want a mod that's just endless dispatching forever? And if you haven't played it yet, well, sorry, I just spoiled half your choices, but if any of this sounded like your thing, give it a shot, the gameplay is still cool. If you're into storytelling, character writing, or just me over analyzing whatever grabbed my brain this month, that's more coming soon. For now though, well, my hot chocolate is perfectly heated up and mixed. I'll catch you up in the next one. This has been Dispatch is Good and a Blazer Glazing video by the Mayor. See ya, goodbye, farewell.